But they're nothing but blind fascists brought up to hate and giving lives to waste. And they're gonna waste my life. They're gonna waste my time. They're gonna waste my life.
Can I show you something? Can we
Yes,
shift
please.
gears for a second? I want to show you, and because I told you I saw the show the other day, and I got you this shirt.
Love it.
So you have to lose weight, man, because it's a medium.
It's a medium. I can do a medium.
I got it for my son originally, and my wife won't let my son wear a Circle Jerk shirt to school. And so I thought, who better?
That's
than you?
fantastic.
I did get you these stickers thinking of you originally, because I know that you're a fan. I got these for you.
Oh,
The
the original sticker, the schoolroom sticker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The group sex sticker is great too. Yeah.
So I got these for you, but then you can, if you want to hang the shirt up, whatever you want to do, I got it for you. And I was thinking to myself, I saw the Circle Jerk. So as you know, I was sending you videos. I went alone because there's nobody else on the planet right now that would want to come to see the Circle Jerks with me except you, but you couldn't make it.
I wanted to so bad, but yeah.
I know it was, first of all, it was a proper LA hardcore punk rock show like I've never seen. Like I've only seen the decline of Western civilization, like those movies with a proper kind of violent pit, and it was like old Toronto punk rockers at this show, people who weren't just like teenage punk rockers with a mohawk for 10 minutes and then they get a bank job. I'm talking about like these are people who have remained loyal to punk rock, and it was an incredible thing. Anybody who suggests that hardcore is not a sort of a technical proper genre, to see these guys, they would do the same thing. They would do 5 songs and then a break, 5 songs then a break, but between each of those 5 songs there would be a quarter of a second, like a millisecond, and then into the next one, and they would just be in chunks of 5. And then Keith Morris would talk and then rant about the Canadian government and blah 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 blah. He drinks some water and then he kick into the next 5, and then bang, like a white heat. But anyway, it was just, I loved it. It was so good just to see these guys, their guitar. Yeah. Anyway, it was great. You would have loved it. So I got you a shirt. So
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's funny because me. I mean, hardcore has always been one of my favorite genres. There's several of them, but I've always listened to hardcore, and bands like DOA, SNFU, these bands that I saw in the 80s. Like I was listening to jazz and learning how to play bass as a teenager, but I went to see these bands and they were as technically proficient as any other band, except they were playing in crappy little rooms with a broken PA. But the actual, the technical, you can't play that stuff. You can't get to a level of the Circle Jerks, 30 years of doing it without being really fucking good.
And it had a different feel to it than most shows. And that was just that kind of, I'm not going to say, it was just kind of had a violent overtone to it. Just seeing people, there was a mosh pit, not mosh, but it was like a, what's it called? At a punk show, not like there was like a pit.
Mosh pit. Yeah.
Was it a mosh? Yeah.
The mosh pit. Like, was it the circular one where everybody was kind of
it was like holy shit, this is real. Like Keith Morris had to kind of calm people down at one point, and it was just, and I'm sitting there, this middle-aged Jewish guy in a Canada Goose jacket in the corner there, trying to take it all in. But anyway, it was a great show.
The last mosh pit that I went into was Suicidal Tendencies at the Masonic Hall, and the mosh pit was probably about 200 people. And me and Danny Thomas, you remember Danny Thomas? Yeah. Me and Danny Thomas were sort of on the side of the mosh pit and was watching Suicidals, and I was loving it. And Danny just kind of says, "Okay, Tizzard, it's time." And he grabbed me, and the two of us went into the pit. And I mean, I was probably 30 at the time, and we did a few minutes in the pit, and it was just like, okay, that's enough of that. That's what a crazy amount of fun, though. I mean, I spent my time in the pit as a teenager. It was great, I mean, that was just where you wanted to be, but yeah, it's not my, that whole thing. And then I found this punk rock community downtown that was just I suddenly felt at home, because I didn't fit in with the jocks, I didn't fit in with the preppies, I didn't fit in with anything. But suddenly I found punk rock, and everything came together, and it gave me an amazing sense of DIY, ethics that stick with me to today. And there's an amazing connection between the sort of punk community and the alt country or folk community. And so much of it has to do with being a part of a scene, an underground scene where people support each other. It's not mainstream. It's like you said, the Loverboys and all that stuff. That was the same thing in Newfoundland. It was all Loverboy and AC/DC and Trooper and all that stuff.
Trooper, yeah.
But I was into the Dead Kennedys and all that stuff. So it was really neat for me to find that scene. It sounds like you had the same thing going on in Vancouver last night. You were talking about the shows, going to see the Dead Kennedys and stuff. I never did get to see them, but I remember all those things. It's just those first times going to those big punk rock shows when you were a kid. It was just like, this is the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah,
but
your eyes were like, woo!
Yeah, but it wasn't like going to a concert at the stadium and seeing, Tina Turner with 20,000 people. This was like 200 people crammed into a room where I remember at the SNFU show, myself and Danny Thomas and Mike Bueller and Clark Hancock, and I can sort of go through the row. There was no barricade, so we all sort of got on our knees in front and locked arms, and we became the human barricade between the band, and everybody was moshing, and there were boot marks all over our backs because everybody was using us to jump back into the crowd.
Yeah.
But these were the type of experiences that turned me on to music in a way that, at 53 years old, I'm still, interested in music because of those experiences. And I still try and follow that. I mean, it's like the drug that I'm looking for the next hit of. And
there wasn't really this line between we're the band and you're the audience.
No.
There was this feeling of, sure, you want to come on stage and jump off of it?
Yep.
Sure, come on up, Also, this idea, we don't really know how to play our instruments. We're just going to pick it up and do the best we can and have this raw energy, and it doesn't matter. It was like a democracy in this way, that you didn't have to be an expert, and this idea of everyone belongs here.
Yes.
Even though it was very male dominated, it was very white. In Vancouver, at least, there was this lip service or this attempt to feel this inclusivity, with gay people and, people who weren't white. It was this idea that we should create a better society and have this inclusivity. Not everybody subscribed to those political ideals, but it was still part of the music and part of the scene. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the kids who grew up in the late 70s, early 80s punk and hardcore scenes, I think we all learned a lot about finding our place in the world. It was a lot of displaced kids who didn't fit in anywhere else and really didn't feel like they had a voice or had a place. And that's what it was for me and almost everybody I know in that scene. We were all like looking for something, and we found each other, which was amazing.
The newsmen are lying, drawing lines black and white, making you believe it's your brother. You gotta fight. You got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, you got to know who your enemy is. The enemy, you got to know who your enemy is.
Dream, but my time scheme, in my big dream. dream. While my eyes gleam, in life is cheap. I am the prisoner, the prisoner, the prisoner. I am the prisoner, the prisoner, the prisoner. Hey, 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 hey,
So I'm gonna take you back for a little bit to get this all set up here. At 13 years old, I was too skinny to be a jock. I was too sort of poor to hang out with the rich kids. My dad drank too much, so I tried to stay away from the home. I found a bass guitar and I started playing, and I joined a band with my buddy Clark Hancock, and he invited me into the downtown St. John's scene, which I had never been a part of. And I went down with my skateboard and me and Clark, and I met all these punk rockers. And I was 13, and some of them were a little older at the time, and they were all just raving about the DOA show. And, oh, you're just a couple months too late, Ken. You missed the biggest event in Newfoundland history. And this was, of course, Bob Armstrong and Craig Murray. And as kids back home in Newfoundland, they got the DIY punk ethic way before anybody else, and they taught the rest of us. And over the years, we collectively brought down SNFU, Deja Voodoo, a few other acts as well. But the DOA show that I missed still gets talked about to this day. Do you have any recollection of that Newfoundland show in 1984?
Well, the funny thing was getting there, right? Because we just gotten back from Europe, and we were at our roadie's place. It was out in suburban Toronto somewhere. Like, we had the van stored at his mother's place or something like that, and we're sitting around watching a hockey game or something like that. Yeah, we're Canadians, right? And then and I started looking at the map, and I said, "We gotta get fucking going." You know how far away this place is? You know, like, and we're used to distances, like traveling over Western Canada, all over the United States for like a long time at that point, right? You know, 84, I guess, right? So, yeah. 6 years we've been doing this, and that was our first big trip to Europe, right? And so we started heading out there, and that Dave Gray, our old guitar player, rest his soul, he's not with us anymore, went like, holy Christ, you're right. So we got up at 6 a.m. and started driving. And of course, what we encountered was a gigantic snowstorm on the way, right? You know, being from Vancouver, I know snow, but it's not what we grew up with, right? And and we got to the harbor in Sydney, and we went, holy crap, there's like icebergs everywhere, right? And then got in the ferry to go to the Rock, and went like, oh, okay, they mean business here, because they had to tie down the vehicle with these chains. And I looked, they're bolting down the freight trucks, right? And we're going, okay, this is pretty serious. I won't go on too long about this, but we're on the deck, and you know, sitting in our seats, and there's this line on the wall and a chain with a ball. And as the ship was listing either way, you know, the ball would get closer to the line. So Wimpy, he goes to one of the deckhands, what does that mean? And the guy goes like in the broadest accent, well, I'll tell you, boy, if that ball goes past the line, we're in the drink for sure. And we're going, and there are people puking all over the place. The sea was so rough. Anyways, we got there, and it was an amazing experience, right? It's a beautiful town. I've only been a couple of times, and like it was jam-packed. I can't remember, we might have played really late or something like that, you know, but somehow we got there so late they postponed the show like by a couple hours. Instead of playing at 11, we played like 1 a.m. or something like that.
I'm not sure the details of this, but I called my buddy Bob Armstrong, who was one of the kids who put together this show. And he told me the story, and he wasn't sure if you guys knew. He knew that he had been speaking with Ken Lester, doing all the coordination. And he knew that you had just arrived in Toronto from Europe on the 4th, and the show was on the 7th.
Right.
And on the day of the show, the Village in Pleasantville found out what was happening and canceled it. They said, we're not having 200 punk rockers in here. And
Okay.
they knew that you were on the ferry and you'd been through a snowstorm, and they didn't have a venue that morning of the show. And they struggled, and they ended up getting down the oil patch. They had to rent $200 for it, which was a lot of money back then for the kids.
Yeah.
But it happened, and it became a part of this. Like growing up as a punk rocker in Newfoundland, it is part of our Newfoundland punk rock heritage. Is that first DOA show that kind of sparked a scene, which grew, and people are still talking about it today. It's an amazing stamp you made.
I was there in St. John's like maybe 12, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And the article in the paper was, do you remember this show? It changed the Newfoundland music scene. That was the headline. So and we're going like, really? Oh, okay, whatever.
I could be a soldier, go out there and fight to save this land. Be a people's soldier, paramilitary gun in hand. I won't be a soldier, I won't take no orders from no one. Stuff their fucking armies, killing isn't my idea of fun. And they wanna waste my life, they wanna waste my time, they wanna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. I could be a hero, live and die for their important cause. A united nation or an independent state with laws, with rules and regulations that only cause disturbances and wars. And that's what I've got now, all thanks to the freedom-seeking hordes. And they wanna waste my life, they wanna waste my time, they wanna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. I'm not gonna be taken in, they said if I don't join I just can't win. I've heard that story many times before, and every time I'm thrown out the door, still they come up to me with a different name but the same old place. I can see the connection with another time and another face. Well, they ain't blonde-haired and blue-eyed, but they think that they're the master race. But they're nothing but blind fascists brought up to hate and giving lives to waste. And they're gonna waste my life, they're gonna waste my time, they're gonna waste my life, and they've stolen it away. What they're gonna do, they're gonna waste my life, they're gonna waste